Hi, welcome back to the Listen Up Girl podcast. I'm your host, Zach Randall Friedman. I'm bringing you news for Saturday, August the 15th. I got 6 stories for you today for the LGBTQ plus world that you need to hear. We've got a Senate confirmation vote with serious consequences, a Fox News host that is turning on her own party, a hate-filled candidate humiliated at the ballot box, an Olympic track athlete making history, a bagel shop worker flipping a red county, and a wedding in South Africa that could change everything for an entire country. So let's get right into it with Senate confirms Todd Blanche 50-49. We start with a vote that just reshaped the Department of Justice. The Senate has confirmed Todd Blanche as Attorney General of the United States 50-49. That single vote hands him broad authority over an agency that is supposed to answer to the American people, not to the personal interest of the White House. Here's the distinction that matters. The Department of Justice sits inside the executive branch, but it was never designed to be the personal legal arm of whoever happens to be president. It exists to serve the public. Under this administration, critics argue that the line has already been blurred, and this confirmation removes one of the most last checks that might have kept it from disappearing entirely. Justice as a concept is supposed to mean something specific, fairness and applied equally, regardless of who you are or who you know. It's an idea that goes back to the ancient Roman law that constant and perpetual will give you each person what they are owed. That's why Lady Justice is depicted blindfolded, holding a balanced scale. The imagery only means something if the system behind it actually works that way. With Blanche now confirmed by the narrowest possible margin, the question isn't abstract anymore. It's whether the DOJ spends the next stretch of his administration serving the public or serving one family. We'll be watching closely, and you should too. Next, Fox News host turns on her own party. Next, even the people conservative media are running out of patience. Fox News host Tomi Lahren wrote publicly this week that the Republican Party, in her words, an utter embarrassment. Her target, rising cost of living pressure, happening at the same time the GOP continues backing an ongoing war involving Iran. Lauren's argument is that everyday's people working in middle-class families who aren't living large, just trying to cover groceries, are being pushed towards more radical economic alternatives because Republican leadership has failed them so completely. She doesn't stop there. In a follow-up post, she suggested that politicians cheering on an endless war are financially tied to the defense industry, and that they don't feel the pain at the gas pump or the checkout line the way regular people do. She called the political establishment in Washington an abomination. And now, to be clear, Lahren has spent her years attacking LGBTQ plus people and building a career on anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric. This isn't a redemption story, but it's a sign of how the deep cracks in the Republican messaging have gotten when even their own media allies are saying the quiet part out loud. Next, anti-LGBTQ plus candidate humiliated at the polls. Now for a story that lands squarely in the actions of the consequences file. A Republican state house candidate who campaigned on the idea that LGBTQ plus people should face execution just got crushed in his own primary. He pulled in fewer than 100 votes, less than 20% of the total cast, and lost badly to his opponent. His campaign wasn't subtle. He declared a month in opposition to Pride, described LGBTQ plus people using language comparing them to violent criminals, called for the reversal of marriage equality nationwide, and said he wanted LGBTQ plus people removed from classrooms and their own children taken from their homes, all to be framed as protecting kids. After the loss, instead of accepting defeat, he posted online declaring himself the true winner and attacked his own opponent's age, calling him unfit to lead. It was as graciousless as the campaign it preceded it. Even members of the own party publicly distanced themselves before the vote, calling his conduct reckless and saying he wasn't ready for the responsibility he was asking voters to hand him. And turns out voters agreed. More people like that will start to see the door and be pushed out. Thank God. Next, Olympic track beach volleyball star comes out. From politics to sports, and this one is genuinely a big deal. Swiss volleyball player Leo Diller, one of the top athletes in sports, had publicly come out as gay while actively chasing an Olympic dream. Diller said that he spent years feeling he didn't fit the image people expect from an elite male athlete, because being gay is often equated with a weakness in that world. He talked about being 15 years old and searching for an openly gay elite athlete he could look up and not finding one. The absence is exactly why he decided to speak up now. He and his longtime playing partner are ranked among the best teams in the world, finished ninth in last year's World Championships, and won a major tour event in Poland. Diller's next goal is representing Switzerland at the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. He says he finally feels confident enough to be fully himself and wants his visibility to help shape and shift the culture around masculinity in men's sports. Gay, proud, and aiming straight for the Olympic podium. Love that. Next, bagel shop worker flips red county. The next story starts with hermit crabs and ends with a historic election win. 22-year-old Brendan Dowdy, who works at his family's bagel shop, just won a seat on the Rutherford County Commission in Tennessee, one of the most conservative counties in the state. He beat his Republican opponent by nearly 200 votes, becoming both the youngest person ever elected to that commission and the first openly gay official in the county's history. And his path into politics is honestly one of the more unusual origin stories you'll hear. Doughty once started a petition opposing pet stores selling painted hermit crab shells. When the officials he contacted ignored him or sent him form responses, he decided the government needed people who actually listened, so he ran himself. He knocked on around 1,500 doors, working his day job the entire time, and put tiny hermit crabs on his campaign literature as a reminder of why he started. There's an extra weight to this win. This is the same county where a library director was fired after earlier this year refusing to pull more than 100 LGBTQ plus children's books from the kids section. Now that county has elected the first openly gay commissioner. Sometimes change shows up exactly where you'd least expect it. Love that, and I hope that county supports him. And what an amazing kid. He's not a kid, he's an adult. He's 22. Love that. Next, historic wedding in South America. So we're ending today on a story that could open a door for an entire country. In Bolivia, two women, Fabiana Barzana and Scarlett Roca, just became the first same-sex couple to be civilly married after a legal fight that lasted nearly 4 years. Same-sex marriage still isn't legal under Bolivia's constitution, which currently limits marriage to heterosexual couples. But their court victory forced the system to bend for them individually, and it could pave the way for others to fight that same battle. This follows a pattern because back in 2020, a different same-sex couple won the right to register as civil union in Bolivia, and it took years of additional legal challenges before that ruling expanded more broadly. Advocates say Branzer and Roca's marriage isn't really a beginning, it's a continuation of that longer fight and one legal win building on the last. Branzer shared the news publicly, saying that she and her wife had been together for more than 4 years and had finally, after nearly 4 years of legal battle, been able to marry as two women. It's a reminder that marriage equality isn't always won after one single ruling, and sometimes built one courtroom, one couple, and one victory at a time. Congratulations to both of those women. And that's your Listen Up Girl for today. A Senate vote handed to the Department of Justice to an administration that hasn't earned that kind of trust. A Fox News host cracked under the weight of her own party's failures. A man who wanted us dead got humiliated at the ballot box. An Olympic athlete found the courage to be seen. A bagel shop worker flipped the red county blue for our community. And two women in Bolivia proved that love keeps winning one legal fight at a time. If this episode meant something to you, follow the show, leave a rating and a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Follow along on social at The Real Zachary on YouTube and Instagram, and I'll be back tomorrow with more LGBTQ plus news. Thanks for listening.